Hey everybody, it is Corey and I'm back with some stoner rock. So today we're going to be looking at some Dyad drones, and there's a whole bunch of these you can do, from the root tone all the way up another 11 or 12 notes you can do with that if you include the octave. So today we're going to work with the minor pentatonic scale and the natural minor scale. So first I'll take you through the note selection we're going to be doing, and throughout we're going to be using the low E string. That's our drone note, and that just means it's a constant low tone that we're going to use with all the other notes to get the contrast and movement. So let's start out by doing the pentatonic, and then we'll do the natural minor. So there'll be a couple of different dyads thrown in on the 6th and the 5th string as well when I play the example, and that will be the G and the F sharp with its respective third. So in the case of G, it'll be the B note, which is a major third. And then with F sharp, it's a minor third. So we've got the F sharp and A, one semitone lower, intervallic distance between those. So what I'm going to do now is play the example, and then I'm going to break it down a bit, exploring the rhythm and how all the notes are moving to their respective positions. So there's a few things to unpack in there. The first is you want to get your right hand strumming down pretty well before you even attempt to start moving all the notes and stuff around. So we'll start with bar 1, and I'm going to do that a bit slower, and then I'm going to talk about what my strumming hand is doing, and then we'll look at it as a percussive technique. So I am doing a hammer-on in there, but we're going to just look at what the actual strumming hand's doing. And what it's doing is this. So we are hammering on from the 5th to the 7th fret. And what we're essentially doing is taking 2-note clusters to form our drone dyad, and just moving it up and down at will. Now the cool thing is you can use any of the scale tones that I demonstrated in the introduction. So moving on from there, what I'm doing specifically is I'm going up to the 9th fret and into the 10th fret. That's our next cluster. So we've got an Aeolian type of sound here with the F sharp and the G. And I'm going to take another dark interval down with the 5th and minor 6th. That's the B and the C note with the low E. And then I'm going to use the open A and the B note on the 5th string. But you'll notice at the end of that I do some thirds with the G and the B note, which is a major third, and the F sharp and the A, which is the minor third. And I think I might have mentioned that earlier. And then moving on from there, what we're essentially doing is we've got the power chord. And what I'm doing is I'm moving that B note up into its next octave while I do a kind of loose shuffle strumming pattern. So the thing with this pattern is that it is loose, and it doesn't have to be precise in the sense that you don't have to repeat the exact same rhythm again and again. The idea is if you can move your hand constantly, you're not going to have this issue of going out of time, because you'll be able to keep that pulse moving literally with the hand. And so you don't want your hand to stop even when you're not hitting the strings. So for example, if we have a specific look at this bar, the 5th bar, where I'm moving from the E power chord up into the 14th fret, pretty much the same power chord, but the 14th fret is in the next octave, obviously, from this B note. Now, just pay careful attention. I'm not always hitting the strings, but there's a kind of shuffly, loose type of feel to it. So sometimes I'll hit the strings constantly, and then sometimes I'll just miss the odd one. It's up to you what you do with that. There's no real specific purpose in mind there, but like I said, keeping that hand moving in this rhythm, and if we look at it percussively, so what I'd suggest doing first is that as an exercise. Just we're in 6/8, so you're going to have to do it's a 16th shuffle rhythm actually. So you want to keep doing that constantly. And then what I would suggest doing is maybe just try to cut out the odd one here or there, have a specific target in mind out of those 6 articulations per bar, or actually 12 because we're in the shuffle 16ths, and just see whether you can miss a couple out here or there. On the other hand, you might just not want to think about it too much and just kind of go for it, improvise a bit. And as long as your hand's moving in that pulse, you're bound to hit something cool along the way, and that's the good news. So as far as variations go here, we are going to do a descending idea, and we're going to use the A and the B note, and then we're going to work our way back through the pentatonic scale. So if I was to play this as a melody, it looks and sounds like this. If I slow that down. And if I just play it as a complete scale. And of course, I'm not starting on the root tone, but I am starting on the 5th, which is B, working all the way back to the A note. But it's essentially an E minor pentatonic scale. On the other hand, on the next variation, what I do is I introduce the Aeolian tones into it. So I start with the 17th to 19th. And you'll notice I'm going all the way to the F sharp, which is the major second of that scale. And then in the next bar, I'm going to resolve into the power chord, and then I'm going to work my way up to the octave then, like we did when I was explaining that 16th shuffle rhythm. So let's have a look at these couple of bars now. I'm going to go from the shuffle 16th with the E power chord. I'm going to slow it down a bit, and you can just practice along. Now let's do the Aeolian version. I'll do this a little bit slower, this one, because it's a little bit more technical. And actually on the last time what I do is I do exactly the same thing, except instead of the power chord, I move it up to the next octave of the root. So we're actually starting with a low E string and the E note. Moving then up to the 14th as per normal. And then I'm going to do an Aeolian idea, but on the 4th string. So this one's a little bit trickier to do. Now when you strum it, you're going to have to either mute the 5th string when you do that, or you can do what I do, and that's to hybrid pick. So I use a pick on the 6th and an index on the 4th, like this. So the middle's underneath the 4th string when it starts. It doesn't do what I just did, but just exaggerating a bit. It's a good habit to get in to do that, but on the other hand, you can also mute the 5th string with the tip of the index finger as well. And that's how that section works there. And then what I'm doing, I'm using a minor third and a major third, so the A and the C note. Major third, G and B. We have an unusual one here. We've got an F sharp and a C note, which is like a flat 5th augmented 4th. And then we're going to end on an E minor chord. That's in the 7th position. And I do include the low, well, not really, yeah, it is the low B note, I guess, because we've got this B note here, so, but it's just got the B in the bass, so on the bottom. Just to sort of darken it up and make it a bit heavier. So thanks for checking out the video, enjoy the lesson, and I'll see you soon for another one. So until then, bye for now.